Color schemes, color in practice. We left off in the last video talking about the emotional qualities of colors, and we saw how artists make images using a predominant color theme or a scheme in creating an image, specifically Picasso in his blue period and Van Gogh's yellow themes with his sunflowers. Now let's look at color schemes in a broader way. In presenting these concepts, I will be using images from the Learning Hub and an article by Daniela Alscher. First, let's ask, why should we use a color scheme? As we've seen, colors create moods and emotions, but if we use them together randomly, we risk canceling out whatever mood we may be trying to create. So using a color scheme deliberately will provide a logic and theme to each piece you create. It's always helpful to establish a color scheme before you start a piece. For this exercise, we'll be looking at 6 different color schemes: monochromatic, analogous, complementary, split complementary, triad, and tetrad. A monochromatic color scheme is simply made with variations in a single hue. When doing this, you can use shades to darken and tints to lighten. You can also make that hue duller and brighter. This is a very unified approach to color. An analogous color scheme stretches out towards the colors next to it. Here we have yellow, yellow-orange, and orange. When using this scheme, it is useful to have one color dominate and the others accent it. Here's an example with green dominating, but accented with blue-green and yellow-green. Again, we have a very strong structure in the color usage. A complementary color scheme concentrates on 2 opposing colors, which enhance each other's intensity. So if you want an intense vibe, that's a good way to achieve it. Don't use this for subtlety. Complementary colors have a very special relationship. Orange surrounded by blue actually looks brighter than it does in any other context. So if you want a color to look brighter, surround it with its opposite or complement. I've seen a couple different ways to consider the split complementary color scheme. In this model, we have 2 adjacent colors and their complements. Or we could also use red and the 2 colors adjacent to its opposite green, blue-green and yellow-green. That is the split. As in a complementary color scheme, the split complementary scheme is vibrant, even jarring in its color contrast. A triadic or triad color scheme places an equilateral triangle on the color wheel to find 3 colors equidistant from each other. The most common of these is the primary color scheme, dominated by yellow, red, and blue. Or my favorite color scheme, the secondary triad. John Singer Sargent often used this combination: orange, purple, and green. A tetrad is a 4-sided shape, so a tetradic color scheme is achieved by imposing a rectangle on the color wheel. This can result in a double complementary color scheme, as is shown here with red, green, and purple, yellow. By using any of these color schemes, you can give your work a unity or harmony rather than a feeling of discord. Now, let's take a look at how colors can be manipulated for effect. It's important to realize that colors don't exist in a vacuum, and to understand how colors change their character depending on their surroundings. This red, which is the same in all 4 squares, appears more brilliant against black and slightly duller on a white background. On an orange background, it looks lifeless, but on blue-green, it pops. It's the same color, and yet it isn't the same experience. The term simultaneous contrast is used to describe how colors affect each other. Complementary colors here, red and green, both make the other color appear brighter. So if you want a color to look brighter in context, surround it with its opposite color on the color wheel. Basic color theory exercises often try to bring out the relative nature of color, how they change in different circumstances. Here, the artist Joseph Albers makes the same brown square look very different, darker and duller on the left, brighter and lighter on the right, just by changing the surrounding context. His classic color exercises include making 2 very different colors look the same, or making one color look different, and here making a color flip its identity. Notice that the 2 X's are actually the same color. Which brings us to our exercise for week 9. Using color media and complementary colors, you're to do 2 different diagrams. In the first, you should use the colors to dull each other, creating a gray effect. In the second, you should isolate and surround the colors to make them appear brighter. You may achieve this in different layouts or forms. Here I'm working with Prismacolors on black paper. You can use white paper just as well. I'm trying to create 3 gray squares, each one 2 inches by 2 inches. From a distance, they should look gray, but when you look closer, you should see that each square is actually made up of a set of complementary colors: red and green, blue and orange, or yellow and purple. The goal here is to achieve or create an active surface, even when creating the illusion of gray. The surface is alive with color, even though it's gray. This is what pointillist artists did when they made the eye of the viewer put the colors together to make the completed secondary colors. I want you to learn to build up your surface by blending and modulating colors, not just filling in a flat color like in a coloring book. So if you're doing this exercise with paint, we want to see the brush strokes of individual colors close up. From a distance, we want to see the neutral tones. That's the first exercise. Here's the second exercise. I'm attempting to make a color look different by altering its background. While the 2 central squares are the same, the one on the left appears more yellow in hue and lighter in value. The one on the right appears darker and redder, at least to me. To really achieve these effects, squint. Keep your eyes closed and then just barely open them a little bit and see if you experience the colors differently. Your project for week 9 is to attempt these last 2 exercises for yourself. Make grays using complementary colors and change background colors to make a color look different. You should include a written evaluation of how well you think you achieved each exercise. Good luck.